Bangladesh, despite opening its draft to public comments, only received 98 memorandums and 2 presentations. The purpose of public consultation was to ensure the relevance of the constitutional text. It gave people a sense of ownership in the success of the constitutional project. All persons would have a stake in a system where their voices are heard. Even if a point of view loses in the round of negotiation, they are always etched in history and open for renegotiation at a later date. There lies the strength and the beauty of our Constitution and the conduct of our framers in imbuing fraternity in its fabric. Now, what does this tell us all as judges and lawyers? In a court of law, usually one side succeeds and the other side goes home unsuccessful. But I've always believed that it is in the course of dialogue that the true merit of our judicial system emerges. It's in the course of listening to the tales of suffering of those who come before us that the healing in the judicial process takes place. The outcomes of what is arrived at in a court may be important to parties in a certain sense, but the process which takes place in a court of a reasoned dialogue is perhaps far more important. The reasoned dialogue in a court represents rationality. It represents a tradition of tolerance. It represents a tradition of inclusiveness. And therefore, each of you as lawyers, each of you as judges to be, I can't obviously address the judges, but I can tell you as the judges to be of the future, that the importance of the dialogue which takes place, the discussion, the debate, sometimes acrimonious, sometimes humorous, sometimes plain, boring. But this dialogue in the court is what sustains the constitutional spirit and project. In the second part of my lecture, I'll deal with fraternity, love, and constitutional morality. Fraternity as an expression in constitutional text was not unique to India. We were not the first of the nations of the world to realize this one word called fraternity. Nor was our constitution the first political document to use the expression. What was unique to India was not the label, but its content. Fraternity as a value in constitutional text emerged from the French Revolution of 1789, which famously coined the slogan, Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, ou la mort, or liberty, equality, fraternity, or death. Fraternity made its way into the Declaration of the Rights of Man and Citizen of 1789 and continues to be a guiding principle in French constitutional law. The Universal Declaration of Human Rights of 1948 refers to it as a spirit of brotherhood in Article 1. Other countries have made an indirect reference to fraternity. The South African Constitution of 1996 refers to Ubuntu, a philosophy that embodies fraternity-like ideals of shared humanity, community, and mutual care. The Italian Constitution of 1948 calls for solidarity in Articles 2 and 3 for social justice and the fulfillment of individual and collective duties. Following the Indian preamble, the Constitution of Bangladesh includes a commitment to ensuring fraternity amongst all citizens. While the idea of dignity and fraternity in the French Revolution was enlightening in Dr. Ambedkar's understanding, his own formulation of fraternity did not come from a comparative perspective. Dr. Ambedkar had an evolving understanding of fraternity, which was grounded in Indian realities and conditions. A snapshot of this was captured in the preamble. Later in life, Dr. Ambedkar would convert to Buddhism. 2 years before accepting Buddhism as his religion, Dr. Ambedkar stated that he had not borrowed the term fraternity from France, but had taken it from the teachings of Gautam Buddha. Speaking on the All India Radio in 1954, Dr. Ambedkar said, and I quote, "My social philosophy may be said to be enshrined in 3 words, liberty, equality, and fraternity. Let no one, however, say that I have borrowed my philosophy from the French Revolution. I have not. My philosophy has roots in religion and not in political science. I have derived them from the teachings of my master, the Buddha. Lord Buddha believed that liberty and equality are necessary elements of a just society, and that the law must protect against the infraction of liberty and equality. However, he did not believe that the law can guarantee equality. Buddha believed that both liberty and equality are capable of being weaponized against the freedoms of others. The only solution to this was metta in Pali or Maitri in Sanskrit. 15 days before his death, Dr. Babasaheb Ambedkar explained in a speech that metta is love, justice, and goodwill. In his book Buddha and his Dhamma, Dr. Ambedkar lamented the inadequacy of the word fraternity to appropriately capture the need of the nation. He believed that what sustains equality and liberty is fellow feeling. The proper term is what the Buddha called Maitri. Dr. Ambedkar explained the meaning of Maitri as not just love or fellowship between humans, but with all living beings. No other philosophical, moral, or legal thought could give to all living beings the same happiness which one seeks for himself. Only Lord Buddha's metta could help people in keeping their mind impartial, open to all, with affection for everyone and hatred for none. Our framers gave us a North Star of fraternity. It is now on us to create an inclusive society using this North Star. Dr. Ambedkar viewed fraternity as an ethic of love. Love is a powerful emotion. It evokes sincere interest in the well-being of the one you love. The question is, why love? After all, cordial and collegiate treatment of each other does not require an emotion as strong as love. The answer to this lies in the concerns which animated the insertion of fraternity and the tensions which we as a country have faced ever since over the last 75 years. Dr. Ambedkar saw the Constitution as much of a document visualizing a departure from social hierarchy as a document of political transformation and social change. He sought reform in society and believed that the destiny of the nation would be secure only if we were one. To be one, Dr. Ambedkar believed we must create space for our differences. Differences on the basis of identities, politics, and ideas. The fraternal bond is not meant to transcend, but preserve differences such as those of religion and language, but not a difference such as untouchability. Fraternity would hence seek to end discrimination as a part of the vision to achieve a just society. Fraternity, however, does not seek to steamroll differences. It seeks to preserve the innate value of human dignity while recognizing that differences in identity are a source of strength for a plural, diverse, and inclusive society. If you love someone like they are a part of your family, then you would look out for them even if they are economically or otherwise weaker. The political philosopher John Rawls described fraternity as corresponding to the desire and motivation which are natural amongst members of a family, that any personal advantage is to the benefit of the other members who are less well off. The Supreme Court of India has echoed this sentiment. In Prithviraj Chauhan versus the Union of India in 2020, the court opined that fraternity is not merely a declaration of a ritual handshake or cordiality between communities that are diverse and have occupied different spaces. It is a pact amongst people to uphold each other's dignity. Recently, a few days before I ended my tenure on the bench, we had a case of a person with an 88% locomotor disability. He was denied admission to the MBBS degree course. While granting him relief, the Supreme Court explored fraternity as a virtue which recognizes that to progress together, we must join forces in our mutual advancement and emancipation. When a person is discriminated against, there are two elements at play. At a primary level, discrimination excludes the excluded from the collective imagination of the nation. In another sense, the nation is deprived of the talent of those who are discriminated against and excluded. Our design for institutions and for systems of governance must reflect the rich diversity of our country. The aspiration is one rooted in our commitment to the nation. This is the commitment we make out of fraternity. Therefore, fraternity is mutually reinforced by equality, liberty, and justice. Dr. Ambedkar went on to explain the link between these principles later in his writing. He wrote that without fraternity, liberty would destroy equality, and equality would destroy liberty. If in democracy liberty does not destroy equality, and equality does not destroy liberty, it is because at the basis of both there is fraternity. Fraternity, he said, is therefore the root of democracy. Dr. Ambedkar was inviting us to imagine the consequences of a world where there is liberty and equality, but no fraternity. In a society which has inequity, those with more power will use their liberty to promote actions which are detrimental to those with less power. If speech is completely free, those with more resources and power will drown all other voices with their narrative. Free speech is a constitutional aspiration and guarantee. But what would happen even when that narrative is hateful? Liberty, therefore, will destroy equality. Similarly, if all people are given equal treatment without recognizing the inherent maldistribution of resources in society and life opportunities, equal treatment will allow those who are resourced to benefit over those who lack social and cultural capital. As the French author Anatole France famously said, the law in its majestic equality forbids the rich as well as the poor to sleep under bridges, to beg in the streets, and to steal bread. Equality will therefore destroy the liberty of the lesser equals. Justice P.B. Sawant, in his concurring opinion in Indira Sahni vs. Union of India in 1992, recognized this and opined that inequality ill favors fraternity and unity remains a dream without fraternity. Fraternity, therefore, understood in Ambedkarite terms of brotherhood among people, is the great stabilizing force in a democracy which works for all people. The codependent nature of our preambular virtues simplifies a revolutionary idea. The idea is that to show love to our people, we must join the cause of giving them justice, so that everyone may retain their differences and breathe the air of liberty and equality. Our progress is incomplete till all of us have progressed. In imagining this, we invite ourselves to understand and empathize with our fellow citizens from different castes, regions, religions, languages, and other identities. That is why fraternity is associated with love. Fraternity is an emotion which requires us to bother and care for others, not compete and defeat each other. Justice, liberty, and equality are not paintbrushes for a blank canvas. They are an end, and fraternity is the means to this end. The evocation of fraternity by the Supreme Court in varied contexts, from caste to disability and sexuality, shows the tenacity with which it assists social justice. The recent case of the disabled medical aspirant